Okay.
I'll just switch the phone off.
Good idea. And it's the Queensland Consumer Association.
Consumers Association.
All right. Well, good morning. Today we have excellent news for Queenslanders, and I'm here with Ian Jarrett from the Queensland Consumers Association. Last year, the Office for Fair Trading returned $11.2 million back into the hands of Queenslanders. Queenslanders absolutely deserve to get what they pay for and deserve not to be ripped off. We know in the last year we saw a record over 19,000 complaints. That's the most complaints that the Office for Fair Trading have ever had to deal with in a 12-month period. Overwhelmingly, the most complaints lodged were about faulty household goods, so white goods or furniture. There was a 50% increase in complaints of this nature. Now, we know some of that is attributable to COVID. There was an explosion of online shopping. We've also seen an 80% jump in complaints for household services industry. You know, January and February are very busy times for moving. We've seen an increase in complaints about removalists and bond cleaners. So make sure that you're booking reputable services. We've also seen a number of complaints about travel. OFT have been successful in getting people back their airfares for cancelled flights, and in one instance they've returned $38,000 to someone who bought a faulty camper trailer. We're urging consumers to contact Fair Trading if they do have any complaints about the products they've purchased or the services they've used. And it's also a very timely reminder to consumers to be wary of scams. Last year, Queenslanders lost more than $60 million to scams. And after investment scams, the biggest kind of scams reported were about dating and romance scams. And with Valentine's Day just around the corner, we want Queenslanders to be very wary of scams. And the best thing we can do is talk about scams, talk to our parents and our grandparents. We have to remove the shame and the stigma around scams. They're very sophisticated and anyone can be a victim to a scam. And really the best advice is if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. I hand over to Ian to say a few words and then I'm happy to take questions.
And that's my top tip to consumers. The Minister's just beat me to it. If it seems too good to be true, it most probably is. So we're very supportive of the OFT and the Queensland Government with their work to assist consumers. One, to help educate them so they're more informed, and secondly, to provide assistance to them when they get into difficulties with businesses. So we were extremely supportive of them, and we would encourage consumers to make complaints. I know it takes time and trouble, but you should make a complaint. And if you can't resolve the problem with the business that you're dealing with, then you can seek external advice. Office of Fair Trading is one example, and there are ombudsman schemes here in Queensland for specific industries, such as energy and water. And nationally, we've got ombudsman schemes for financial matters, insurance, telecommunications, etc. We need more of them, actually. Consumers really want there to be an effective ombudsman scheme for travel, which the Minister has already spoken of, and I'm sure that everybody that is listening to this have had problems with travel in the last couple of years. So we're very supportive of what the Minister has to say, and we're particularly interested in trying to make it easier for consumers to actually help themselves, and we were the organisation that led the push for the introduction of grocery unit pricing in 2009. That's the information price per 100 grams that you see on the shelf labels for your cornflakes and other things. Makes it really easy for you to compare prices and get the best value for money. But the scheme has not been successful. The retailers haven't done a good enough job with it. A recent report from Choice suggested that 71% of consumers that shopped in grocery stores were having difficulties using the unit pricing, and an amazing 80% of people that were using it online had difficulties. So we really want at national level the ACCC and the Albanese government to take some action on unit pricing.
Thanks, Ian. Any questions?
You mentioned that the COVID uptake online shopping. Is that here to stay, do you think? That's a habit that's now ingrained with people?
I think so. I think consumers are now very used to online shopping, and there are different things that consumers need to do when they're purchasing online. You know, if you can, making sure you're purchasing from an Australian business so that if things do go wrong, it is easier to resolve complaints, making sure that you check the refund policies online. So, you know, I think online shopping is here to stay, but we do want consumers to be informed and to know where to go if things do go wrong. I think we're going to continue to see high levels of complaints, particularly as supply chains continue to be disrupted as well. And certainly we know, as Ian said, travel continues to be one of the categories where we have seen high numbers of complaints. But certainly Queenslanders deserve to get what they pay for. And if you haven't, and you haven't been able to resolve it with the business, that's what the Office for Fair Trading is here to help with.
I imagine most of these 90,000 complaints who had already tried to deal with the company to resolve the issue.
Yeah, absolutely. We want companies to meaningfully and respectfully engage with consumers. We know that it won't always be possible to resolve the complaint, and that's why the Office for Fair Trading is here. And if you can't resolve the complaint with the business, the Office for Fair Trading can intervene. And as I've said, to return $11.2 million back into the hands of Queenslanders, that's a lot of successful complaints followed up by the Office of Fair Trading. We have seen an increase across all states, and certainly again, I think online shopping habits, which really changed during COVID, and travel across the country are two really big categories. So I meet with different ministers across the country, consumer affairs ministers. Travel is absolutely on the agenda, and as Ian has suggested, unit pricing is also one of the key issues, and scams. You know, thankfully the federal government now has a scams policy. They're setting up an anti-scams centre. There is much more we need to do to raise awareness, but also where people can go if they have fallen victim to scams. Yes, of course. Ian, do you want to take a step to the side? You can stay there if you want, but...
Just on Toondah Harbour, it's the government's, it's a priority development area, Toondah Harbour, and the government's on record supporting it. So what's your response to claims that dredging internationally important wetlands for this development isn't an environmentally appropriate use of the site?
Look, we've always said we support the revitalisation of Toondah Harbour if it stacks up. So it is subject to an environmental impact statement, so the Commonwealth is going through that. They're obviously subject to very strict and rigorous environmental protection laws. And then once the Commonwealth has finished its processes and gives it the go-ahead, then there will be a number of assessments that the state government has to do to see whether or not the project stacks up. So that important work has to play out, and I'm sure, as I said, there are very rigorous environmental tests that the Commonwealth and the state have at each level.
Given the housing crisis and the lack of available housing stock, do we have to start to, not amend our environmental standards, but really give these housing developments a priority?
Well, I think we need to make sure that our housing developments are in the right location, and that's why we have very rigorous environmental protection laws. As I said, that process is with the Commonwealth. Once they've given the go-ahead, we will get our assessments done as quickly as possible. But it is really important that we have those rigorous environmental tests. Yes, of course, we need to unlock greenfield sites for housing, but we also at the same time need to protect our environment, and that's what our legislation does.
And would you get an autonomous
I might give it a go. I haven't seen much about it, but I'm happy. I'm happy to give it a go.
Is it fanciful though? I know there's a report released today by the Council of Mayors and this company saying that it stacks up and they're looking towards 2032. Is these actually have a chance of flying through South East Queensland skies?
Look, I think there would be a whole lot of issues to work through, but certainly we're now in Logan, in my community, getting groceries delivered by drones. I would have said that was probably impossible a few years ago. You know, we are embracing technology. Clearly there would be a whole lot of hurdles to get through, so who knows. But it is exciting, I think, to look to the future to see what is possible, particularly in the lead up to 2032.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Nice easy one.
Do you want Ian and I to have a bit of a chat? Yep. Okay.
What are we going to chat about?
We're just going to have a chat and I'll get some footage and
Oh, very good.
yes.
Very good.
Yeah,